You're watching Sky News, bringing you the latest on this developing situation from India. That aircraft, as Paul Kelso was saying, that was destined to head to Gatwick, due to land at 6:25 local time here in the UK this evening. As we know, that flight crashing around a minute after takeoff. Gareth Barlow with you, also joined by Thomas Moore, our science correspondent, because, Thomas, investigators will already be starting to try and appraise and analyse what caused the crash. Talk us through, if you will, the elements they'll be trying to piece together.
Yes, once the rescue phase of this is over and it's safe to do so, they will be looking for the two black boxes that would have been on board the aircraft that record not just the conversations within the cockpit and with air traffic control, but also record the data on the flight's altitude, its speed, its avionics, all the electronics, all the information coming from the sensors, to try and piece together with this wealth of video of the plane taking off and then crashing. They will be, this is a very new model of aircraft, as Paul was saying, just 15, 16 years old. It has a stellar safety record. Both pilots had something like 9,000 flying hours between them, so they were extremely experienced. So there are other things that they would be looking at. Why was it that this aircraft didn't gain the speed that it would need to gain altitude? It crashed when it was just 190 meters above the ground, just outside the perimeter of the airport itself. So was there something wrong with the engines? Did one or possibly two go down? Did it strike a flock of birds, for example, that would cause a catastrophic failure? And that has been the cause of plane crashes in the past. Or was there some other mechanical fault with one of the engines? Now, this is a twin-engined aircraft, but even with two engines and one going down, it is designed to be able to still be able to take off efficiently and safely, even with that one engine working at maximum thrust, as it would be as it's trying to gain speed and altitude. So there is a lot to be worked out, whether it was engine failure, whether there was something wrong with the sensors and the information coming into the computer and the pilots that led them into some action that was inappropriate at that particular moment. These are all the kinds of questions that crash investigators go through.
And Thomas, you mentioned there the black boxes. There are two of them, one pulling together that sensor data, the other also making a recording of the flight deck itself, and you do get the audio of what the pilots are doing and saying. And that's going to prove interesting, in part because we've had these reports that a Mayday call was made to air traffic control.
That's right, and it was just a brief Mayday call before all contact was lost. But what was leading up to that moment? Was there a conversation between the pilot and the co-pilot? Was there a sound that can be picked up by microphones within the cockpit, suggesting that there had been some kind of explosion, perhaps within one of the engines, or perhaps from a plane, from one of the engines going down because of a bird strike? So these are the kinds of things that they will be looking for as they try and piece together these final moments of flight AI 171. It's important to know whether this was an unfortunate, catastrophic one-off, or whether there is some issue there for the 1,100 other Boeing 787s currently in service. Do they need to be grounded, to be checked for any reason as a result of this crash? And that's why an investigation really is quite urgent.
And Thomas, it's worth bearing in mind, is it not? There are countries that have poor aviation safety records, but for airlines to fly into airspace controlled by the United Kingdom, by the European Union, by North America, you do have to comply to a very high safety standard. There are very rigorous testing and protocols that have to be fulfilled. And so by doing so, Air India, by its very nature, is a reliable airline. Yes, it has had incidents in prior years, but the very fact that it was flying to Gatwick does tell us a degree about the standards, the training, the maintenance, and all of the protocols that go behind operating these flights.
That's absolutely right, and there are some airlines which are banned from Europe because of that. But Air India does have a good safety record, long haul, I believe, and that's why this is a very unusual event. And of course, the very fact that it happened just after takeoff when the aircraft was full of fuel, we can see from the pictures that there would have been an intense fire as a result. They do need to understand what caused this, what went wrong, so they can put everyone's minds at rest about the safety of this aircraft.
We are just waiting for translation of comments made by the junior civil aviation minister of India. Once we've brought you that translation, we'll bring you those comments here on Sky News. And I'm also just seeing, and I think this is a normal thing to happen in this kind of situation, Thomas, Emirates saying that they are monitoring the situation in the region closely, that they say there are no changes to their operations. And this is important, isn't it? Because there are around 1,000 of these Dreamliner aircraft in operation with a myriad of other operators, and they will be watching very closely to see what it means for them, their operations, their passengers.
For sure, and they do need to understand whether there was some mechanical fault there, whether there was something in one of the engines or within the avionics, the electronics of the aircraft that could have misled the pilots and caused a problem like this, or whether it was just a one-off, a catastrophic impact with a flock of birds that could have resulted in this failure.